Good evening, Crafty Jacks. Thank you for joining me this evening. Could you just let me know that you can see and hear me? I might just have to go and grab an oodie because it's flipping freezing in here, and then I'll cook later on. I have got a heater on. Hopefully I'll warm up. We've got a few people beginning to join us. Thank you, darling. Thank you, because I always have my sound and everything switched off, so I can never know when someone's when I'm live or not. So thanks, Jill. I am on the mend. I am still coughing, but definitely I am on the mend, which is cool. Hi, Jan. Good evening. Oh, it's just about 8 o'clock. Hello, Alison. Thank you for joining us. I'm getting there. I actually slept last night without having my sleep disturbed with constant coughing. So I reckon that that's cool. And a good thing. Good evening, Sarah. Hello, Julie. I'm rather hoping that Samantha Lang and Wendy McLean might join us, but hey ho, they may not. I think Wendy is just a little tad busy at the moment, and that's good news. So I promised that I would do the second half of the shadow box that goes together, but because I put this deer on the top, I'm not going to actually attach them, but if you wanted to, you can do with little attachments, but as I say, I'm going to keep these two separately, but as companion pieces. So my suggestion is always that when you're making something like this from a kit, that you have a play with all of the bits and pieces. Thank you, darling. I am well hydrated. I've had lots of drinks today. You have a little play with all of the bits and pieces, so that you know what you need. And I have supplemented the kit today with one of the owls from a previous kit. So don't be afraid to mix and match and use up the bits and pieces that you might have left lying around. So let me put the finished one out of the way, and then let's dismantle this pickle that we've got here, because we've got quite a lot of bits and pieces. Oh, look at my mucky top. Hey ho. Right, so let's just put like-minded bits together, and hopefully we can manage to at least get the colouring done together. Good evening, Sam. Thank you for joining me. It's always appreciated. Let's just do some of this. So there we are. That's leafery, if that is ever such a word. Let's put that all together. Let's put that with the deer. Those three bits can go together, and then we've sort of got them in. Now the kit comes with lots of pieces, and I used half of them, or slightly more than half of them, and that's resulted in this piece being a little unbalanced. But I thought I would show you how that we can build it and link it to make it a little bit less unbalanced, because I think that's quite inappropriate. So we'll pop that one there, and if we put that one there to stabilise that, we're going to need a piece down here to stabilise this, and we're going to have a train in front of it. So let me just hatchet job a little bit of here. There we are, because then that bit can go under there, but it will fit in and it will help support that and the tree. So Wendy provides the stabilising pieces, but don't be afraid to chop things up if you need to, so that you don't have, and of course these pieces can then be used anyway. So you know, it's good not to be too worried about these things. So that one can go into there. That should fit, she says. Oh no, it won't fit because I've got the bar at the bottom. So let me go with that. Now if you put them in that way, you get one height and you get a slightly different height the other way. So that can go into there. That can go into there. And then I can build this up to stabilise it as I go. So I think it's quite a useful trick, is just not to be afraid of your pieces and to play and chop bits up if you need to. Now let's put those two shorter ones together. There we are, that's the 3 shorter ones, and that gives me those. So there are 6 of those pieces altogether. Hi, yeah, I know that, darling. I think there's lots of people that are unhappy and sad. It's always a shame when someone we know through our online lives has a nasty illness and ultimately doesn't survive. So there we are, lots of bits and pieces. So I'm going to use some of the products I used last night. Good evening, Liz. I hope you had a very successful craft show today, and that you enjoyed yourselves. We might be struggling. I think these pots, some of these pots of paste, are definitely at the point of having. So this is moss paste. I used it last week. I'm just using it to add texture. I don't have any pine trees on this one. Pine trees. I do have pine trees, but I don't have that'll be birch trees. That'll be it. So these are companion pieces because of the systems that we're using, but not necessarily sister pieces, if that makes sense. There we are. So that might work for that. We can have a little bit along the bottom. Some of these pots are definitely getting to the stage of being better off in a bin, I reckon. So we're going to use them up. So just remember, ladies, if you're using paste, it really does pay to look after them, and sometimes that might mean that you need to add some sprays of water. I think I'm pretty much out of water in there, but let's go on. Oh dear, that does suggest that in spite of the nice weather, we didn't have a very good time. I did see your lovely mum there though, so and she looked to be in fine health, which is nice to see. Thanks, Sam. I was waiting for someone to say that. So that Sam and I got not surprise parcels this morning, because we did know that they were coming. We got parcels this morning with new products for Madhatters for Thursday. I'm not too sure when the shows are, but watch this space. I'm sure one of us will enlighten you at some point. I haven't bothered looking online. I have to say my day's been a little bit busy. I don't want that on there, but there we are. There we are. Let's just pop that up there, and then we'll add this, and then we'll give it a little bit of a heat, and it will add the texture in. So there we are. It's a no skills required painting activity. Yeah, I have the thorny issue of having to go shopping today for food. Very inconsiderate, isn't it, of the household to require me to feed them all, but hey ho, it was okay. There we go. Let's just cover that little lot. And that can go in there. That can go in there. That's going to go on there. So that then gets rid of 2 pots of paste out of the way. Yippee! So these well. So that's what's required. So I just need to give these a dry. Look, she says, getting them in a mess already. And she does have some white. Oh, there it is. There's my pack of baby whites. Need to get some more of them. No, definitely no skills required, or minimum skills required. Bit of colour combining. Problem is that, Julie, if I don't do it, my lovely husband is now back driving, having been very ill a few weeks ago, and he really wasn't safe to drive, but he is now safe to drive. But if he does the food shopping, he's what I call a functional food shopper. Thinks what we might need for that day, and that's it. So we get the bare minimum of stuff, and then he has to repeat it the following day. And I don't like online, Sam. I'd rather go and pick stuff up. But each to their own. So, whereas I go and I have a little look and I see what's on offer and see what looks nice, and then I have a plan about what we might do for the next few days. So I don't then have to go shopping more than once a week. But you can go and do the top-ups of bread and milk, because we seem to go through bread and milk as if it was going out of fashion. But hey-ho. No, darling, I think that online shopping has absolutely got its place, and I think everyone should do what is right from them. My choice that I prefer not to, but I so get that as you get, if your mobility is an issue, then actually being able to do stuff online just makes life much easier. And I'm all for choice, because I think that allows everyone to be included. And with the online delivery services now, you can do pretty much what you want. You can get stuff delivered very quickly. I know there's even smaller shops will have, just around the corner delivery activities. But I think you just have to work out what works for you, don't you? And that I definitely think there are times in this when it's the right thing to do. Most of my craft stuff is bought online. I don't have a local craft shop, so I have to rely on online deliveries. But where I can, I quite like to go out and visit and touch and feel and pick things up, rather than being reliant on others and Mr. Amazon or whatever it might be. I've heard mixed various things. I think some people probably do spend less online, Sheila, because you buy what you need and with what's planned, and that probably means there's less temptation to overbuy from all of the offers and the 3/4s and the 2/4s. And I have to say that I only buy those if I know that they're things that I'm going to use regularly, or they can be frozen for use regularly. I don't otherwise buy them, because they're there to tempt us to overspend, aren't they? And there's a reason why shops do things like that, and it's not for our benefit, it's definitely for their benefit. So let's get, if I can get these dry. They're dried on the top. That's the problem when you're force drying things, is that you dry the top surface and you don't, but they're still damp underneath. Bananas. Oh, yeah. Get this one dried. I think we do what suits, and we should do what suits us each and individually at the end of the day. There isn't a right, one size does not fit all, does it? That is for certain. Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry, but this is about the only thing that will really need any length of drying. But if I don't at least start to dry them now, they'll still be wet. So I'm going to pop this. Good evening, Anna. So Anna is joining us, I think, from Romania. So I'm just going to pop these on the floor, avoiding by the fan heater, avoiding my project, which is one of the new samples. We still has one more layer to go in it. Right, so we have a set of leaves and some trees and some more leaves. Did I go overboard with leaves? I think I might have done, but there we are. Have I got a drink? You know what I'm like with drinks, Liz. Am I going to have a drink next to me? Yeah. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Right. Eeny, meeny, green. It looks like we've got pine green. Red. Don't need red for that. Need that. We might have some of that. We might have some of that. We might have some of that. So we've got an assorted collection of different things. I'm very naughty. Thank you, darling. I'll take I'm very naughty. I don't have a problem with being very naughty. So let us start adding some colour to some of these leaves. And I'm wanting autumn shades. So let's go with chestnut. Chestnuts are autumny, aren't they? Let's go for red brown. Oh, a new pot. That means I didn't use it last week, or 2 weeks ago. We've got an orange, and we've got a bit of yellow. There we are, which is ochre. I really do think I need to throw some of these pots away. Bless them. There we are. Let's just pop some of this lot out of the way, and then we'll do a bit of speed painting. We're not going for necessarily. We might have a bit of green as well. We might have a bit. Let me just grab some khaki off the floor. It's been reused on other projects as well. There we are. And I better not get this one messy, because Pentart will be most mightily upset with me if I do, because they like clean pots when it comes to pictures. There we are. So let's just add some green, and it can muddy in, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. We're going to build our layers of colours anyway, so that's all cool. And we're going to add some extra colours, and I'm going to be incredibly naughty, because I am going to just go straight into some of my pots and mix. There we are, so that I don't have a single flat colour, because autumn leaves aren't a single flat colour, are they? They're all a bit mixed up. We don't want them bright orange though, so we might just add. There we are. So we'll just add and mix these colours so we don't have complete the same blobs. And there we are. And we're going to treat these to a similar process, except the ivy. So this kit has some beautiful little ivy stems, and they can just be in the pine green. I'm using matte acrylics, from Pentart, but you know, any acrylic will work. The MDF is good quality Medite, so it's not going to it will soak it up to some extent, but actually that will give you some natural shading, and you might as well take advantage of it. It's why I rarely get out primer when I'm using these scene building kits, because it's just easier not to. So there we are. We'll just add some bits of this, and say this is literally no thought required. Plonk it together, because I'm wanting some variegated leaves. Nature doesn't think about what she does, so I'm not going to. I know, but some of these pots are actually quite old, Sam, so I'm not going to be too mithered about them, and I've got fresh pots if I really need to have them. And I have to say that I did break some of the pieces up that come in the kit, particularly just to give me some different lengths. So don't be afraid to customise what you have either. If it doesn't fit, chop it up, because that's always cool. So that's that. You've shamed me, I have to say. So there we are. Let's just go along there. That's a bit more twig brown light, so we'll go down here. It's a reasonably dark colour, so it's not going to overly contaminate, and I will behave and swap to a fresh brush for the paler colours, if that will appease you, Sam. I think it's okay. As I say, we're the intention is to not be here for a stupid number of hours, but if we are. You can always go off if I'm boring you and watch something else. I'm not too sure there's very much on Selly telly or even ordinary telly tonight. Having had a little look, it looked pretty dire. There we are. So, and by dabbing, you'll also get the joy of a bit of extra texture along the way. So that's also always an advantage, isn't it? Just gives you that. So there we are. Let us lid that. I'm going to lid that khaki green. It's all right, darling. Pentart would have 50 fits if they saw me doing it. They would be most unimpressed. I know very well that they would not be at all happy bunnies with me for doing that, because because it does contaminate things, doesn't it? And that's definitely not what they want when it comes to stuff. They like it, and they certainly like me to use pristine products. She says. And to be fair, ladies, it is pretty bad practice to double dip, because you will contaminate your pots. So if you're wanting nice colours that stay true, and the next time you go to it are actually the colour it says on the pot, then please do not follow my example and double dip, because it's really not necessarily the best thing to do. So now we have some assorted leaves. We might add a little bit of more into some of those. I know 49er Market was on, and it was a horrible bright collection that I really didn't appreciate. I like their more vintage stuff. There we are. We've missed that bit. Have we got all of those? And then I'm going to come back over and add and mix some of these colours in, so that we don't have too much of a muddy mess, and go over areas that I might have missed. There we are. So I don't want fixed lines, so there's something to be said for being able to mix your colours on your pieces, and not to be afraid of doing that. There we are. So we'll have some autumnal pieces without spending ages and ages and ages on those. Well, that's the plan anyway. Right, now then, why have I got a pot with no lid? Oh, that'll be because I'm a woolly bird, and I've put, well, I'm very sorry, Julie, I better not go and nip and have a look and buy any, had I? No, I am on a mission to actually use a lot of my products and not be buying at the moment. I just have way too much on the go, and therefore it makes sense. So this is just a dark brown, and I will add some texture with some dry brushing later on. There we go. Take that into there. Rather than anything else, I am making a concerted effort to use up. It might not stop me buying all of the new products, but I won't be buying. I'm not buying it all as much as I might have done. I think we each have our own own things that we like to watch, don't we? Things that work for us and things that don't work for us, and we just have to get on with it. Oh, yeah. But I'm not wanting to be. I'm wanting to be a proof that actually you don't need to be fanatical, botanically, horticulturally, zoologically, call it whatever you want. Your artistic license is absolutely fine. It's more important, to my mind, that you enjoy what you're making, and you can make it a labour of love and spend ages drawing in each piece if you want to, or you can be relatively. I'm not being completely slapdash. There is some method to my madness in amongst all of this, but it's not completely madness. Let's just have that as a little bit of a wash. I don't want that brown for the deer. It's not the intention. There we are. So let's just add a little bit of greenery along the bottom. Of there. I might need to go back to the brown where it's soaked in. There we are. I'm going to have a fern that is a green colour. I'll mix that in and up there just a bit so it's not all brown. And I can see areas where my dark brown paint has disappeared into the MDF, so I'm just going to add a little bit more into some of these areas. It's giving me light and shade and texture, so that's also cool in my book. There we are. We've got most of that covered. There we are. So that's quick painting for those, I think. I'm going to mix that in and blur those edges so I don't have a harsh transition between things. Yeah. Now then, let's just move some of this temporarily. I want that to dry. I don't need those, but we need a little bit of moving about time and a little bit of, we might do a little bit of mopping up in a minute, because otherwise you won't actually be able to see really what we're up to. And amongst that autumnal fallen leaves look that we've now got happily on our mat. And let's just give it a little bit of a scrape. Always makes life easy. It'll lift most of it up, and then I can wipe it. So paint scrapers are very useful for this, because you lift it rather than smearing it everywhere, and rather than having to scrub. So if you haven't got one, then my strong advice is that you find one. These are from a DIY store, so they're not expensive. There we are, and then we can see a bit more about what we're doing, I think, because we've cleared up some, if not all, of that excess paint that we'd splodged around the place. There we are. So that can go there. That can go there. Right. So this is what we've got left to paint. So let's find a bit of a more nicer brush, and we're going to have chestnut brown. I rather liked Dawn's new collection, I have to say. It was quite different for her. I was a well-behaved young lady, and in keeping with my trying to behave approach to life, I did not buy it. But I actually thought it was quite a good price. And if you like gothic, but gothic with a twist that you could use all year round, then it worked very well for that. Don't think I have got a black. I can grab a black, so we'll do the who's in black. So the dear, I am going to be a little bit more careful with my painting, and I've swapped to a better quality brush that I will look after a bit more, and I'm not pouncing it. I don't want to destroy this brush because it's a detail brush, and therefore I think it's, there are some things where you are definitely better off looking after your pieces. So there we are. Let me just shut that into there. So the lovely Sam, how did you get on with sample making today? I trust that it was going well. So my little brush, again, you see, I think it's important that you change according to the task that you want your brush to do. If I grab a great big brush, you're cutting bits of pretty paper. Well, you know those 4 great big pots of snow paste that I've got sitting at home, because Pentart sent me 4 when I or 2 that I hadn't ordered, and I already had, and I hadn't ordered them because I already had 2. I've been using an awful lot of that. Now, aren't we being naughty? Pretty papers and snowface. What are we teasing, ladies? What are we teasing? I think we are being naughty, really. It's not fair, is it? But you don't have long to wait, ladies. You don't have long. So there's lots of etch marks on Wendy's MDF to help with your painting, and adding your details, and feel free to just paint straight over them because the paint will settle into the cracks and they will still show afterwards. And because these are going into a shadow box and the edges are brown, I'm not unduly worried about the edge, painting the edge of this piece of MDF. I'm quite happy with it not being. We're going to have a chestnut brown. Oops. Pine cones. We might grab something a bit darker in a minute. I need the black out anyway for some accents on these deer, so I can at the same time mix that in. So we're going to add, so this tiny little piece is a snail. So let's just grab some black. I'll shuffle that over there. There is some black in there, honest ladies, there is. I have out on my desk permanently black and black and white actually is the two colours I have out permanently on my desk. So I'm just wanting to darken those pine cones up a little bit because they're not pale, are they? And that, because the paint underneath is wet, that's going to add quite nicely. So let's just add a little hoof into the bottom of here, using those guidelines to help me pop it in place. There aren't any obvious ones in there, but we do have a black eye to go in. So I'll pop a little black eye in. We'll have a little black nose on there. We'll have a little black one in there. And I'm really not sure, and the eye here is just a line, and I can see a little bit of the deer that I need to just come back in, neaten up, and do his little ear. There we are. Sometimes second coat is advantageous. There we are. This one is not too bad, but let's just have a tidy up around that eye and around the ear. There we are. And let us do our hedgehog. Don't know what colour hedgehogs are really, but there we are. There we are. We'll just do a hedgehog in some shades of colour. The texture will come in and we'll be able to see what it is. So that is cool. From there we are. Tuck that there. Tuck that there. Give that a little bit of a clean. So I don't contaminate my next bits, because I don't want them contaminated. I could just pick up a new paintbrush, I suppose. There we are. Okay. So let us. So this is beige. So let's pop that onto there. We're going to have some beige antlers. Now that will fade in to the MDF and it will look not quite as beige, but it will work very well as that colour. Now if I was wanting to add texture, then I might be, I could get out my velvet powders, but I'm not going for texture. I'm going for paint in its simplistic form today, because not everyone has access to the wide and varied arrangement of stuff that I have. So I just think it's it's quite nice sometimes just to be able to use what you have. And these dots are marked on the piece, so it doesn't matter. I'm not adding detail that isn't inherently there. So there we are. Let's just add her central coat, and as I say, it won't be quite it will be much paler when it's actually settled in. Let me add a little bit to there. There we are. Right, now at this point we do need a different brush, because otherwise I will end up in a right pickle, I know I will. So this is compact powder, which is a pale pink. You can make your own quite happily. Little bit of sand, little bit of white modelling paste will quite happily make get those out there. There we are. We'll quite happily make, and then sprinkle a little bit of glitter. Will work just nicely for snow paste. Might have to go back into there and correct that, but hey ho, because that paint was a bit wet. There we are. Excuse my ladies, because it's not, you know, extra pair of hands is always required, isn't it? There we are. That's better. That's better. So compact powder is a go-to for me for the face. And then I think that I want a soft pink colour. Now then, I can use those, so let's just add some of that to this. I'll add some paint to these, to the mushrooms. And then the fun really starts if can I remember how I put it together in the first place and how I had it laid. Answers on a postcard. That'll be a no then, won't it? It always is. Get to this point and I think, which way do I have them down? And then it's a bit of a play, but that's okay. That's just part of life, isn't it? There we are. Let's just add another layer on there. So onto that. And then I need to think about what I'm doing with my owl. Julie, I think you could use them as that dreaded word. Some of them definitely fit that dreaded word, but actually some of them I think are usable all year round for celebrations. You know, come on, we are actually only 6 weeks away from Christmas, so if you are making, it is about, you know, that time when you need to start thinking about doing it. Otherwise, miraculously, you'll suddenly find that you've got no time because it's all disappeared on you. There'll be some more of that needed. Yeah, I think Julie will be pleasantly surprised by them, because I think they're a bit more usable than some of them are, and you know, a bit more universal, or you know, suitable for lots more projects. No. And Sam and I hadn't discussed that, so we're clearly on the same page when it comes to those pieces. No. Now let's do, you're done, you're done, you're done, you're done. You can stay there, you can stay there, you can stay there. We do need a little bit more added to our little snail. Well, let's just add some more stalks to these. There we are. We haven't really had much time to chat. It's been a bit full on busy, hasn't it? It has to be said. It's been a bit full on busy. And I will tidy up those mushroom bits when I get the red paint out. There we are. So let's have some beige for his face. Have a little bit more coming down the middle. And let's go with the red clay. It's a so I am absolutely with you. It has been Christmas in for way too long, really. I'm not dishing it. I'm sure there's lots of people who've enjoyed it. I just think it's just has gone on and on and on. And I love Christmas and I love making for Christmas, but really, I do think there's a time and a place. And yeah, a one-off show in June or a one-off week, but you're right, it has been absolutely flipping incessant ever since. So let me just mix those colours in on his breast so he's not monotoned, and let's just give him a bit more colour up underneath his hat. I will draw in the yellow, I think, rather the white of his eyes. Now then, what colour hat would we like, ladies? What colour hat? Given I haven't got the best of choices out, I think we might go. I think we might go with black. I was so pleased that Wendy didn't do a show in June, because the years when I've started telemakes in June have spoiled Christmas for me. It's just been way too much. There we go. Have our hat. Let's just pop our black eye in, and I can draw the white with a gel pen or a Posca pen. Later on. And we've got a little bit of yellow, and if it's contaminated with a bit of black, it won't worry me, because that way it'll be softer. So there we are. So all I'm doing is using the colours, the spaces that are on. It's alright. Daryl was a lovely lady who who has spent quite a lot of the last year very, very poorly, and we've sort of been expecting her her death for a few weeks now, those of us that knew her, and you know, it's just part of life, isn't it? But there we are. So I might take a pen to draw some of those details back in later on. There we are. Because I shall need these to be dry before I can add the white dots, but I can add all of those details later on. And I am going to add white dots. I don't know, I mean, I know it's cartoonesque, and I know there are some bright red mushrooms, but not all mushrooms are bright red, are they? But that's what we're going to do. We're going to do bright red. Bring a pop of colour to this piece. Just because it feels like the right thing to do. And then we'll have it clear down, let these dry, and we'll start putting things together and adding some pen detail. Yes, I've got my pens in front of me, she says, looking up. There we are. We're not doing so badly, ladies. We're not doing so badly. We're making progress. I don't think it's quite as much painting this week as last week. You know, the one the other week, there was quite a few. I think it was the birch trees that I did for that one that just added an extra time element to the live. There we are. So this kit will be available on the website because it was launched last month. So it should be there, ready and waiting if anyone's tempted to have some autumny thing, you know, still wanting to make something that isn't quite winter. There we are. Okay, so that can go into there. Let me just rescue that. Have I done all of those? Yeah, I think I might have done that. So let's just pop that over there. That over there. Make sure that that is lidded properly. That's lidded, that's lidded. They don't need colouring. That doesn't need colouring. They're lidded. They're lidded, they're lidded. Excellent. And let's mop this mess. I will need some white out for dry brushing, but let's just clear this lot out of the way for now, because otherwise my box, which is already covered with papers from the same collection that I used the other week, that's name I've forgotten, but it's one of the very early Stamperia ones, and they've got another new collection coming out next week. That's a company needs to reduce its amount of activities. It's impossible to keep up with them, I think. And then Pentart say, what you need to use? You need to use their product. So there we are. Now then. Ooh, oh, good. So this isn't a Posca pen. It's an acrylic pen, but essentially it's an acrylic pen. So if you've got Posca pens, then that will do the same job. Okay. And because I find the black Posca pen a flipping pain in the neck, because they block. This is literally just an ink line pen, and you can get those in multi-packs, so they're relatively cheap, and it just it allows me to add in back in some of those etch lines just to define things a little bit more than they might otherwise be defined. But optional step, you don't have to do it. The pen will sort of go into the groove, so they're quite helpful. And so I think again it's worth doing this. I'm going to add, it just puts your detail back in, helps define your shapes, and then your eye sees what you want it to see. Which is always cool, isn't it? Yeah, particularly here, because I could spend ages shading all of these, but they're relatively small elements, and to be honest, life is too short at the moment for me to be doing that. He says making a mess. There we are, we'll define that, and we can always go back in and add a bit more. Let's go around there. There we are. So let's just take this white pen, give him a proper white tail as opposed to a beigey one. But by putting the beige down first, I've helped to neutralise that colour. So we're going to have a little bit of white around the eye and a dot in the middle of him, and that will work. So let's just add the white around the eye for the owl. Oops, she says. And a little dot in the middle. Hopefully these are dry enough. We can add our spots. Don't be tempted to use a Posca pen or one of these pens on wet paint. All that will happen is you'll gum it up and you won't be able to use it another time. So yeah, and there's no reason why, if you had got a nice range of paint markers that where you can't actually, there we are, well, just paint the whole thing with your paint markers if you wanted. So I think I'm just going to leave those without. I don't take the black pen back to those, and I need to be careful here because some of this I can see isn't completely dry, and don't mind my own counsel and not cream cracker my pen. There we are. Cool. Let's just add a little bit of detail back into our. Good evening, Emma. Thank you for joining us this evening, my darling. How are you? How's business? I hope it's good. It must be quite scary going off on your own to do things and having to go it alone. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision. In an industry that is less than kind to people, really. So those can go back over there, those can go back over there, that can go over there. Julie, we never know. My Sam and I never know what we're going to get until it arrives. It's always a surprise. And she's so good at drawing and designing, so yeah, so we, as I say, we never quite know what we're going to get. It's always, and she's so busy, it's not always so easy. There we are. The owl is super cute. There is no question about it. Mr. Owl is super cute. And he came from a collection with lots of books in the summer. So he's not one from now. So, yeah. Right. Pops. There we are. So. Yeah, the you usually know. Well, I'm glad you do. Sometimes it's better not to. It's always a lovely surprise then when I get whatever I get. There we are. So that piece is going to go in there. And then I got some broken pieces, hadn't I? Deliberately. Into there. And that's because that I'm wanting to add and build the trees forward, and they need a little bit of support, particularly with some of the other bits that I'm doing. Alright. So those can sit there and dry. And they're reasonably dry. So let us. It is all controlled. I do know where everything is, but I've just got lots of bits here at the moment, haven't I? So, right. I might just do that. So, my textured trees, I'm just going to add a little bit of white too, because it will help define all of the texture created using the moss and the grass paste. There we are. And then that piece is going to sit on there. So let us do that. Go along that edge. Go along that edge. And that can go into there. And we're going to need some more white paint. And can I see what I've done with my white paint? No, because I've got too much stuff on my desk. That's grey paint. Aha, I can see what I'm doing. There we are. Cool. So we'll need a little bit more of that. I do try to keep it clean. I mean, I try to tidy up as I go, because otherwise I think it becomes too much of a pickle. I've just got lots of components here, so that's part of what's going on, isn't it? In amongst all of this. So, she says, pop that there. That's going to go onto there. but that's going to be lifted up. So let's just pop that into there and sit that down, and then we're going to tuck that behind there, and that will, by tucking this behind, it will help support that piece that is currently only really supported by that bar and part of that bar, and it's quite top heavy. There we are. So that will help support that, and we'll have another piece into there. So we're going to be doing a bit more breaking. Maybe not. We may use some of the bits we already had that were broken if we can find them. Again, I'm just building up these struts because I'm wanting to add more layers than I did the other day. There we are. I'll pop that onto there. And I'm going to need something in here when I pop this down. No, actually I think that's going to be reasonably well behaved actually. So that's at that level. So now I can pop another one of those onto there, because by adding those tiny pieces that I popped in, I've now got that up another level. So let's just pop that there. But if I don't put something underneath here, it's going to sink. And that's definitely going to need something underneath there to help hold that in place. So let me just grab something that will work. That's going to be too big. And it doesn't really matter what. I can't believe it, I'm running out of tiny scraps. That's not good, is it? There we are, that's a little bit. So let's just pop some of these pieces here, just to build this up a little bit. I have everything logically put in my room. Well, logically for my brain. Doesn't of course mean it's logical for anyone else's, but hey ho. There we are. So we're going to need a bit more on top of that. Possibly. My lips are sealed. My lips are sealed. So literally all I'm doing, because you won't see these pieces, but it will just help support these elements. And trust me, you really won't see them by the time everything's in place. But we're going to have our tree poking out. So there we are. We can pop that there, that there. And I can have a big splodge of that, because some of that is going to then catch onto there. Now I know that I want to put some pieces into here, and so that is going to sit into there, and it's going to catch where it catches. Because I don't want it in necessarily completely flat. So let's just add that in. So we're building our layers up. So that piece is going to tuck in there, and it's just balancing on the side struts, and it's helping fill that gap, and then that piece can go back onto there. Now then, aha, you see, and now that and that are on the same level, so I can pop another strut in to there. And I'm just going to add another one because I can. I shall pop it back over, right over there. Now I happen to know, because I've had a play, that I'm going to pop him into there, so he will help support my tree. And I need a bit more underneath there, so let's just add a little bit of greenery, she says, letting it move around. Yeah, and then that will work. So you just need to think about what you're putting where, so that you can build in your supports for your pieces, particularly when you are doing a dimensional piece with lots of layering. Let me just poke that piece back where I want it. There we are. Okay. So I've got my and we need a little mushroom to tuck in there to support Bambi on there, and then Bambi is supported. And he's tucked into there. I think she's uber talented. Let's just pop these pieces into here. There we are. We're going to have our little hedgehog tucked into there. And we're going to pop our little snail just into there. So that big mushroom will tuck into there. No, I'm not wonderfully good at drawing, it has to be said. Let's just pop that. We're going to pop that there. We'll pop that one on top of there. We're going to pop that one into there. I'm just going to wedge it in. There we are. It'll grab. Given enough time, it will grab. So that can go into there. Okay. So those can go down there. So, where's the bigger ones? So that's going to go there. Just going to pop these pieces in. Oh, she says. There we are. And this is why the lovely Wendy gives you so many add-on elements, because by the time you've tuck stuff in to fill up spaces, it's surprising how many extra bits you will get into your makes. Now if I my owl to be there, and I'm going to have that sitting over the top, so Mr. Owl, so I'm using all of my pieces that I've got basically as supports. So Mr. Owl can go there. And he looks like he's tucked in, not a mere afterthought, if that makes sense. Because it's, again, it's quite easy to have that. And then we can pop another piece, we could put another one under there, but I actually think I'm going to fill this gap here and have that tucked into there, coming off that. And we've got our little acorns, so they're going to tuck in and around. So again, building up our layers and our details. So once everything is glued in place, then I will almost certainly take a dry brush. I think if I try doing it, maybe we might get away with it. Just add some little bits of detail, add some contrast into it. You do want quite a dry brush though when you're doing this, but it will catch, it's just going to catch the edges of everything and help define your layers. I don't particularly want a snowy look today, there's plenty of time for that, but I do want just a little bit more detail than I've got. There we are. And it's amazing what a little bit of dry brushing will do. And I can wriggle it in. It really does make such a difference. Yeah, there are fireworks going off around. It just does make such a difference to everything by adding just that little bit of white. And I really don't have very much on this brush at all, because I've pushed what I do have well into the bristles. But it's just catching all of the edges of my pieces and helping to build up just a little bit more depth and dimension to the piece. And you can carry on and add. It's much harder to take away, so best to go over slowly. Just add little by little by little by little. So ladies, there is part 2 of the shadow box. Now in the kit there are these connectors, but because I've put this, because this element here is proud of here, and I put last week I put the other one the deer proud, I'm actually not going to put these in, but I have done previous lives with those showing how to do it. So I'm just going to add a layer of paper to cover that. So although it's designed as a duo to put together, and it will work together, actually you can use them as two separate projects in your own right if you want to, and that will give me some more spaces and some more ways then to use. So I hope that has been a useful activity for everyone, and that you have enjoyed what we've done. Don't forget that Wendy is on Create and Craft on Thursday. Sam or I or both of us will publish the times at some point. And Sam will be doing a live in this group, I think next Saturday, with one of the new products. I'm going to have a peaceful, restful week. I'm going to have a busy week making samples, and then I'm going to go and visit the lovely Sam and drop them off, which will be fantastic. So, but I don't have any other lives scheduled for this week, which after the 3 this week is to be grateful for. And I've got 3 the following week. So busy times, but all adds to the goodness of life. So take care, ladies. Enjoy what's left of your evening. Stay safe with whatever you're doing, and hopefully you'll be able to get something from the Sally Telly next Thursday. Bye.